Please share this with everybody else as well. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Hey, everyone. Glad you're here. We are going to be talking now. I'm here because there's lots of things I've been paying attention to, and there's been some things going on out there that has just been totally ridiculous. And I want to do everything I can to get people to have the ability and the awareness to understand when they are being influenced to believe things that are not aligned with their highest good. That is my whole responsibility in this world. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. Okay. So I appreciate you being here because we are going to get real tonight. And I got this fly. See, this is a great example. I have this fly that just absolutely loves me. And he's like, wait a minute, let's wait till Jeff gets on the show. And then right then we're going to check in. Now, I'm not going to play Daniel-san or Kimosabi or what was the Karate Kid's name? Anybody know what the Karate Kid says? I like the other session he was going in. Awesome. Good. I'm glad you're here. This is going to be a really good one as well because I am the Brandon. Thank you, brother. So good, man. That's awesome. Times I view you like Professor Extra. Oh, dude. That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And we're going to be talking about some mind hacks. It's super, super important because there is actually all kinds of psychology around what it is I'm going to be sharing about people is because understanding what it actually takes for us to create what it is that we really want to create. And this is why goals don't work, right? There's a reason goals don't work. But see, there's a lot of people out there and like, oh my gosh, this is going to go deep. This is going to go way deep. Okay. Understand there's lots of different components going into how we create our lives, right? First of all, masculine and feminine energy, right? Like just understanding that's going to set your life at a whole other level. Then there is understanding divine and shadow masculine and feminine. Then there's a component of it of looking at what do you really value? Right. And so this is super important to understand this. And this is something I picked up as a kid. Like we used to go to races when I was a kid. And the thing that I loved doing is I wanted everybody to enjoy the experience. So I would come up with these little games so that everybody else enjoyed the experience that they'd have. Like everybody would pick a race car and then they got to do some different things with that. So everybody stayed engaged with the races. Right. And so what is something that you enjoy doing and setting up so that you can make a more enjoyable experience? Now, what I just said there is massively important, friends, because yeah, for those of you, if this is your first time following me, do you have a tapestry of a skyline? Yeah, it's a tapestry. Yeah, it's a tapestry. Yes, because you don't want to see what's behind there. Behind there is the whole magic of everything else that I make happen, right? So what's important is understanding that you are the narrator of your life. Nina, it is so great to see you. Thanks, Joe man, I appreciate that. Yeah, and just understanding this, like this is to create a visual experience for everybody that's watching this, right? Like I could have my green screen and all the stuff that goes on with that as well, but I want to create it so that you guys are here. Helen is in the house. Everybody go follow Helen. She's an amazing person. Everybody over here at the Potential Zone group, you got to go over check out my TikTok stuff too, because it's like, yeah, for many, 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 many reasons. A lot better community over there. Not that you guys aren't amazing. You guys are amazing, but the people are just, yeah, I'm just really enjoying TikTok and I share most of my content over there. So let's go back to what I was saying. Why do people not achieve their goals? Why do people set goals and they never keep them? Like, this is a really great question. Why do people set goals and then they never keep them? Well, it's a lot deeper than what you think it is. They're actually getting what they want. What do you mean? They're getting what they want because they have a confirmation bias. Now, see, this is why it's so important to have an environment that's going to support you to create and align with what it is that you really want to create, right? So think about self-doubt. Absolutely. Self-doubt is part of it, right? Because they don't believe in themselves or their goals. It's because of what they truly value. It's because of what they truly value. And sometimes every decision we make is literally reflecting what it is that we truly value. Right. So if we can look at that, like self-doubt lives in shame and guilt. Right. And that is self-doubt, just like somebody else was talking there. They keep asking for the same thing, extending the petition. Ooh, I like that. Yes. Right. But see, what it is they are making commitments that prove what they're committed to. Let me explain that. We don't get what we want. We get what we're committed to. Okay. And so we have all this self-doubt. We have all these inner programs that play inside of ourselves. But what ends up happening that was created when we were a child, right? See, the thing about a child is it takes everything personal, right? That's our subconscious mind. And see, oh gosh, you guys are getting me on a roll. And this is some of the things that like I was going to wait later, but just because of what some people are saying, I think it's really pertinent to talk about this. I was just watching a training and they brought up stop caring what people think. Okay. There's a major problem with that. There's a major problem with that. We are designed to connect with people. So you're saying don't care about how we are specifically designed. Like, hear what I just said, right? Like all these creators out there saying don't care what other people think. Well, if all of a sudden all their fans and all their followers and stuff like that went somewhere else, I promise you they're going to care. I promise you they are going to care. I get why they're saying what they're saying is because they want, what is it that you're focused on, right? You're focused on the thing that is keeping you stuck in your paralysis of analysis is if you care about what other people think. But see, friends, there's something much more going on here, right? Your subconscious mind is going to serve you the way it believes you want to be served, right? And your subconscious mind takes everything personally. How many of you read the Four Agreements? How many of you have read the Four Agreements? Awesome book, right? Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personal. I don't remember the other two words. If anybody else remembers what the other two rules in there, please put them in the chat. That'd be awesome. But those two are really important. But the thing that's important is the subconscious takes everything personally, right? So as a child, 75% of what you know is before the age of 5, right? 75% of what you access in your life was before the age of 5, right? And so what does that mean? It means a child is experiencing a situation and what they believe is that they are the one that caused this situation. Okay. By the way, if everybody could share it, like TikTok's telling me this, I'm just repeating what TikTok's telling me is please share this live with everybody on your thing. That I would greatly appreciate that. Because I'm going to be dropping some things and make some resources available that I wanted to share with everybody else. So thinking about your subconscious takes everything personal, right? Like your decisions you made about money, One of the decisions that I made about money was money is more important to me, right? Because I'm watching my dad work all the time, didn't understand what he was doing because I was a child. I didn't understand this stuff, right? So my dad's gone all the time making money. And then all I hear about them is complaining, like, what do you think money grows on trees and all this stuff? And it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, dad's gone all the time working. Why do we not have any? Why is it that my friends have things that I don't have, right? And so I made a decision with child logic that money was more important to me, okay? Now, I would attract a big amount of money in my life that would exceed my comfort zone. Guess what I would do? I would get rid of it. And then I would do something else, and then I'd get it, I'd get rid of it. This is called sudden wealth syndrome. It is actually very, very real. This is why 95% or 90% of lottery winners file bankruptcy within 5 years of winning the lottery, right? Because it blows out their uncomfortable. It blows out their comfortableness, right? And so the next thing I made about money was I hated money. Like I remember very, very clearly, of course, I've done lots of work and lots of unconscious work, but I remember getting very, very clearly on understanding that I made a decision. I hated money. Because I used to watch my parents fight over money. And when I watched my parents fight, it was pretty intense. It wasn't just a little bit of arguments. It was crap being broke and screaming and terrifying. It was a terrifying experience. But see, as a child, I went, don't assume and always do your best. Thank you so much, Helen. Yes. And that's good. Thank you for sharing that. So I make a decision that I hate money, right? And so then I go out and I want to attract money. I want to do these things and I want to make my life successful and I want to put my message out there and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? I've made this subconscious belief that I hate money. Our subconscious is going to serve us the way it believes we want to be served, right? So it creates all these programs and then our ego gets involved with it and it creates all these other things that impact my ability to attract money. Well, who do you think you are, right? Like there was a time in my life I recognized that I was becoming the person that I believed my parents hated. Because I listened to my parents talk about about their bosses. I listened to my parents talk about money. I listened to them talk about how other successful people. I listened to them talk about how high achievers and stuff like that. And as a child, you just absorb all this stuff. Right? So then you go out into the real world, and you have all these programs internally that are playing out that are impacting your behavior. Okay, now I've got all that to say. This is what's super important to understand. Your behavior. Your behavior is the output of the internal program. Your behavior is the output of the internal program. Your behavior is an adaptation, means it's constantly looking, how am I supposed to show up? Right. And if you are doing something incongruent with your inner world, you are going to feel like you're being torn apart. Okay. Case in point, I had a client make big money, get up 600,000-700,000 a year, and then he would lose it all, make big money, lose it all. And we did work with him. I did work with him, and he too. His dad was an entrepreneur, and his dad worked very, very hard to provide wealth for the family, right? And so his son is what he's watching his dad achieve this, so he wants to model it. But see, the thing he didn't understand is he made a decision that money was more important than him, because his dad, he wanted to be playing ball with his dad. He wanted to be having his dad go to his sporting events. He wanted his dad to be a part of his life, but his dad was out doing what his dad believed was he was supposed to be doing, which is being a provider, which is some of the things that create so many breakdowns. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many breakdowns the abandonment father wound leaves with people. Like, that's an abandonment father wound, right? But once we change that belief, boom, he ended up literally within 2 weeks becoming the top salesperson in his division, or for this company that he was working with. There was another gal, I worked with her. She had some amazing gifts. She was able to contact the dead, like lots of amazing gifts. And the thing that was interesting, like me working with my clients have changed my paradigm on so many things. It's been amazing. But she was terrified of her gift, and she was terrified to bring it out because of what she heard other people talking about, other people that have that gift. And so we started working with it and started letting her step into her greatness. And guess what? She worked for a Fortune 50 company. And within about 2 months, it was about 2 months, she ended up being the top salesman for that company. Right? It's just letting go of these little beliefs. They're powerful beliefs, right? They're powerful, that hold us back. But letting go of these little tiny beliefs, oh my gosh, they catalyze people to step into their greatness. I'm gonna share something with you. If you haven't gone through the ROI Accelerator Challenge, like, click on the link in my bio. I'm going to put it on here in the banner. Because this is some of the stuff that I am helping people liberate and eradicate within their lives so that they can step into their greatness, right? Is understanding you are one belief away from changing the rest of your life. Like, think about that. You're one belief away from changing the rest of your life, right? Because what did you take on a belief about standing in your greatness? What belief did you take on about that? Right? Because now think about this. For those of you who have children, what are you most proud of in your life? What are you most proud of your life? Most people say they're children. Okay, cool. Got it. Why? Why are you so proud of your children? It's a great question. Because where I'm going with this is going to help you see something that you didn't see before. Okay. Like when you start talking to somebody else, what is it? You pull out your phone, you start saying, well, this is my kid, and this is what my kid has done, and this is what, oh, by the way, I'm just going to drop a really hard truth bomb. Ladies, this is really, really important. One thing you never hear a man referring to his son is my little boy. There's a reason. Because he understands that little boy does not aspire to be a little boy. He needs to be aspired to be a man. Okay? So please, I get that you want your sons to stay little boys, but your sons aspire to be men. You will never hear a man refer to their son as my little boy. It's a truth bomb. Okay? I get it. There's no judgment on, like, you just doing what you've been conditioned to be doing, right? But I want to drop that truth bomb because it's super, super important. And that's a whole other class that I'm going to be teaching somewhere down the road, right? Your sons aspire to be men. They aspire to be men. So you call them my little man, right on. That's awesome, right? Like, I've coached men for decades, and one of the things that I hear from women, oh, that's my baby boy. No, he's not a boy anymore. He's a man. He is a man, right? And like, there's all kinds of history that goes around how important it is for a man to have his blessing, right? That he is now honored and exonerated as a man, right? These are little tiny hacks that impact so much about how a child turns into being an adult, right? So going back to, what is it you're proud about your children? What is it that you're proud about your children, right? What is it about them that you start having this conversation, and it's just like everything gets excited and you're talking about your child and making all these amazing things happen. So, well, what if you didn't have children? Then what would your life would mean? Then what would your life mean? Right? But see, this is what happens when we get into creativity. Why is it important about your children? Right? Because you were part of creating them. That's why. You were part of creating those children. That's why you have a bias towards those children, right? And for most of us, we want those children to experience something that we've never experienced, right? For some of us, right? But what about your dreams? Like the dream came to you. The dream came to you for you to become the person that was required for you to bring this dream to reality for everybody else in the world to experience it. It's no different than a child. But see, all of the conditioning that we have received from school, from religion, from our peers, from our culture, have taught us to domesticate our dreams, right? Again, it's not what to believe, it's how to believe, right? So what if you got that excited about your dreams, got so excited that you wanted to treat your dream, this thing that's inside of you, that you were willing to go through whatever it took. Like think about all the things that you were willing to do for your children that stretched you beyond your wildest imagination. What about all that? What about all the things that you went through to be a parent that brought out things that you didn't even think was capable of happening? First of all, for women, oh my gosh, having a baby, it's a pretty extraordinary event. And then they decide to have more. Like that just amazes me, right? That like really amazes me, right? But understanding, because it's understanding that you have a dream inside of you. You were put on this earth to fulfill something, right? And I say this all the time. I'll tell you the greatest resource. How many of you would like to know the greatest resource in the world? Like the greatest resource in the world where you'll find the best stories, the best books, the best films, the best inventions, the best ideas, the greatest personalities, the greatest singers. Like where would you like to know where to find that? Would you like to know where to find that? I'll tell you exactly where it's at. I guarantee you, I'm going to give you the greatest resource in the world. The greatest resource in the world to find the greatest inventions, the greatest ideas, the greatest songs, the greatest movies, the greatest books, the greatest whatever. Do you want to know where it's at? Do you want to know where it's at? It's in the cemetery. It's in the cemetery. It's people that took their dreams to the grave with them because they were more concerned about their own protection than they were about giving life to their dream, right? So instead of being worried about what other people think, this is what's really, really important. This is the greatest opportunity for you, is to learn how not to take it in. Okay, so case in point. What determines how emotionally we get about something? What determines how emotionally we get about something? Right? Because that's really what we're afraid of. We are afraid of the emotion that we are going to experience if somebody says something about us. That's what we're afraid of. We're not afraid of what they're going to say. We're afraid of the emotion that we're going to experience. Like that's the fear. We're just afraid that our body's going to show up in a certain way. It's like, wow, this is uncomfortable, right? But become familiar with the uncomfortable, right? Okay. So yeah, how much we can control it, but what we are trying to control is avoiding the pain. We are trying to control avoiding the pain. Okay? So what determines how emotional we get about something is how associated we are to it. How personal we take it. Right? Like I could sit there and go, you know what? Of course, I can't see you. Some of you I know, I can't see you. But I'm going to make a wild, crazy assumption, like just outrageous assumption, that there is not one person on this live that is green, that is the color green. Now, Halloween's coming up, so there might be somebody, right? So me calling you green is not going to offend you. It's not going to offend you. Why? Because it's not in you to be offended. That is not in you. But if I said, you know what? Why would you say something like that? Like that was crazy, right? And then boom, something's associated to a memory that you experienced in the past. Boom. That is the opportunity for you to look at what is it inside of you that's being offended, right? It's only painful if we can't fix it or their opinions matter. But the reason their opinions matter is because it's already inside of us. That's why their opinions matter, right? And all we got to do is vibrate at a higher level, and then we don't let the doubt and all the other things come in and make an impact on us. So it's not about not caring what people think. I care what people think, because what people think is a reflection of them. Right now, I'm here to tell you, I got my days. Like, I have my days. Like, I could be tired, I could be stressed, I could be whatever, and be in an unresourceful state, and somebody's going to say something that's going to hit me much different than I'm in a higher vibration of love and joy and peace and gratitude and all these other things, right? When I'm in those states, somebody could pull in front of me, be blessed, have the highway, you go first, right? Like, I can be there, right? But if I'm like, oh, I'm stressing, I'm in a hurry, like, oh, you cut me, like, see, it's about the states that we get into that determine how things land for us, right? Like, I like to think of a bug zapper. Like, a bug zapper hits a bug hits a bug zapper, and it's just obliterated. It's gone. It doesn't make an impact on us. So what if, I'll challenge all of you. I offer you this challenge. What if you started welcoming trigger statements? What if you started inviting people to give you feedback about how you really show up in their life? Like, start asking people, you've gone live for 90 minutes today. Consider taking a break for a while. That's funny. I was on the live earlier today for quite a while. Detroit Lions are the most underrated team in the American Football League. That's your opinion, for sure. I don't know anything about, I mean, I know a little bit about football, but right. But yes, be passionate about that. But what if you have something inside of you that this is triggering you to become a bigger version of you, Zico? I like that name, by the way, Zico. That's cool, right? We live our dreams vicariously through other superheroes, through football players, through race car drivers, through, I'm a massive Formula One fan, right? But I'm also living my passion. I am living my dream of what it is that I really want to do. And see, I can walk up to somebody and I can share with them what I do, like somebody talks about their child, because I've gotten the stuff out of the way that keeps me from recognizing why I'm put here on this earth, right? Like, somebody can say, dude, what's that 12-inch scar going down the back of your neck? It's I've had some fun with that. There's actually, it's amazing what people believe when you start having fun with some things. I've actually told people I've had a brain transplant. They're like, what? Really? Like, I didn't even know they could do that. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm just messing with you. That's actually where my neck was fused together when I was in a near fatal car accident and I almost ended my sister's life. Like, I can talk about that now because I have made sense of that narrative. I have changed the narrative. I understood all behavior has a positive intention for the person with the behavior, right? So let yourself off the hook for all the things that you've done in your life that you wish you hadn't done, because it was a program that you had at that time in your life. Hear what I just said. Every single thing you have done in your life was how you thought you were supposed to show up in the context of that situation. You go to a grocery store hungry, you're going to make inappropriate choices. If you're lonely and scared and don't feel lovable, you're going to put yourself into some relationships that are going to teach you some lessons so that you can stand into the higher version of who you are, right? Give yourself some grace. Start treating yourself the way you want to be treated. See, if you're saying, I hate this, you hate something about you, guess what you're going to attract? You're going to attract someone else into your life that vibrates at that same frequency. And then they're going to start beating the hell out of you. And then you're going to go, I don't like being treated this way. But it started because of how you treat yourself. I want you to think about what I just said. We attract into our life based on how we see ourselves, right? Like, some of you have heard me say, be, do, and have, right? Stop planning and not doing anything. Work at your goal. Yeah, for sure. Right. So because what happens is what we tolerate is going to continue. What we tolerate is going to continue. Right. And if you are treating yourself a certain way, you are going to allow somebody else to treat you that way. And see, when we don't like ourselves and we don't love ourselves and we hate ourselves for all the past mistakes and we filed bankruptcy or we had a divorce or we got fired from a job or whatever it is, how we hold space for those events in our life is going to give permission to somebody else to come into our lives and ridicule us the same way we do ourselves. Okay? Learn to let go. Learn to understand. Like, think of the word understand. I am standing on top of something that is underneath, below me, right? And when you start, and friends, this is gonna sting. It's gonna sting a little bit, but I say it out of all the love in the world. I did not have. Oh, sorry, I just got distracted there a little bit. Your greatest opportunity is learning to love yourself and to speak into yourself, your own life. Right? It's our arrogance. It is our arrogance that keeps us locked in shame and guilt. Right? Bill Clinton. Yeah, you got it. Cool. I did it well enough. Somebody understood it. Right? But it's understanding the things that stop growth. These are the 4 things that stop growth: is arrogance, self-righteousness, entitlement, and victimhood. I'm all for attracting the same. I want ones who are not absent from my exposure. Awesome. Right? So our arrogance will tell us we don't deserve. Our self-righteousness, well, I know this stuff. I don't need this, right? My clients, my one-on-one clients know this, and I do it just because I absolutely love them, because I understand what happens to the narrow thought, the pathway when we start saying certain things. I know, I disagree, and I don't know. These 3 statements end up shutting off discovery, right? And when we are in discovery, when somebody asks a question, and we don't know the answer to it, right? We just, well, I don't know, right? And that just shut it down. We shut down the discovery process. But understanding, how does this serve us? Well, it protects us from when we got humiliated when we did know an answer to the question and somebody laughed at us when we answered the question differently than what they wanted us to answer the question. See, it's the humiliating experiences that we've had into the past that keep us attached to the past, and then we project that out into the future. Okay? We keep recreating it until we transcend it. And that is our greatest opportunity. By the way, if I can get 5,000 likes on there, I'm going to give everybody a copy of my international best-selling book, The Map to Your Fullest Potential. This is my life's work. This is where, like, me publishing that, see, like, you think, you just look at a book. You just see a book and see this and go, wow, that's amazing. What I see is, like, that costs me tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. It costs me excruciating pain. It costs me inviting a narcissist into the house that destroyed pretty much every area of my life, right? But all of that was necessary for me to get where I'm at and for me to be able to publish my own books and support my clients in publishing their own books so that they get in touch with understanding the richness of the message and the experiences that they've had in their life, right? Your life is your greatest asset. Right? This is the thing. Hello again, Kim. Glad you're here. This is your greatest asset. This is the thing that you've invested every single nanosecond of your life to. Narcissists, tell that story, please. That's a whole other chapter. But it got me into, so this is where I discovered, see, narcissists can serve us. Narcissists, see, again, understand, how did I create this? Right? How did I create this? Right? And when we are feeling inadequate, what does it take for a narcissist to thrive? It takes a codependent. I was raised by narcissists. There's no judgment on any of this. This is my own journey as well, right? But when we understand, when we don't value who we are, we're going to be vulnerable to somebody that's not going to value us either, right? And a narcissist, in order for a narcissist to stay alive, they have to be fed. They have to be fed. And the thing that happens is we start feeding them, we get into unresourceful states. And then there's this thing called the sunken cost fallacy, which impacts, we've invested so much into this that where it's very challenging for us to get out of. It's just like gambling, right? Like, I've invested so much into this narrative that it's hard for me to get out, because now how do I make sense of that, right? This is why this is so important to understand that we are going to attract things in our lives that are going to teach us lessons to support us in transcending, right? So I say that in the sense of me having her live here was when I really got in touch with what true healing looks like, true healing looks like. True healing is when you're able to reclaim the power that the wound denied you, right? And if you would have asked me 3 years before I met this person, if I had dealt with all my mom stuff, I would have passed a lie detector test, because I had dealt with, like, I had done everything that I possibly could up to that point. But having that person come into my life, right? The great seduction was she was going to get me in a book and set up this big book deal. And my arrogance, my ego went, all right, cool. I found an easier way to accelerate this learning curve. Boom. Right. And yeah, it's a long journey. It was a long, painful journey. Very expensive, very painful. Lots and lots and lots of things happened out of that. Lots of people got hurt. But it made me look at what was the lesson that I was supposed to learn. The lesson I was supposed to learn is me getting in touch with me standing in my power because of what happened when I was a child, right? What do narcissists talk? Do narcissists talk a lot? No. I mean, they can, right? It's not about what they say. It's about when they say it, how they say it. Yeah, there's lots and lots and lots of things. And the other thing is important. People are not going to like this. We have to get in touch with the narcissist within ourselves, right? Like, we all have narcissistic tendencies inside of us, right? Like, some of the greatest athletes out there, Michael Jordan, most people say he was a total narcissist. Okay, well, look what he created, right? Like, how many marriages has Michael Jordan had, right? The thing that's important to understand is when we start accepting more of our own humanity and that we are going to attract situations in our life that are going to expand us, then we start extending grace to other people. Right? It doesn't mean we got to tolerate it. Doesn't mean we got to justify it. Doesn't mean we need to enable it. That's not, we're not talking about tolerating, right? Just understand that everybody's on their own journey, right? I seem to think that is the problem with Kanye West. I think what Kanye West is doing is awesome. I think he's getting people to see things from a whole different vantage point. See, and again, in order for us to evolve, we have to have conflicting views on things, right? Like, narcissist is this topic that everybody's talking about. But see, the other thing that it's creating is people have a little bit of information and they start looking for signs and they end up denying themselves opportunities, right? Because it's super important to understand, just because you have a little bit of information to support you, at the end of the day, you are the one living your life. You are the one that's living your life. And yes, you might have tapped into somebody. Like, there's a guy on YouTube that I've followed a number of his videos, and he's actually a recovering narcissist, and he gives out lots of great information. But it's coming down to, how does someone hold space for you? But see, if you don't value who you are, that becomes the great seduction, right? Is now all of a sudden you're with somebody that doesn't value who you are, and you go right back into the pattern that you've always had, that now I've got to prove myself to this person. And that gets to be the seduction. Right. And this is why I'm saying, yeah, well, it is. I mean, it hasn't changed much from the way things are going. People have more awareness and things like that. But see, also the other part of it is people have gotten into this cancel culture. Like, I don't like you, I'm just going to unfriend you. Wow. Interesting. Because like they did an experiment. They did an experiment to create the optimum biosphere, right? Which was amazing. Like, they created the most nutritious fertilizers, created the most optimum environment for this entire biosphere, right? But then something amazing happened. Something amazing happened that took them totally by surprise. And that was the trees started falling over. And they're like, what? Why are the trees falling over? This is the most optimized environment that we could ever create. Why are all the trees falling over? The reason the trees were falling over is because they didn't have the resistance of the wind, right? Because when the trees are being pushed on from the wind, it causes the roots to go deeper, right? So we've got to look at how we hold things. We've got to look at how we characterize things, because that's how we're going to show up. As a man, I will not selfies, nothing masculine about it. Well, that's your opinion, right? Like, it all depends about the intention. See, this is the thing that we don't get. We don't understand what someone's intention is. And for us to think that, again, is our arrogance, right? We don't understand the intention. I take selfies all the time. Right? It's called social currency, right? Like, I know what my intention is of putting my stuff out there. My intention is to get people to understand that there's things that I can do for them and support them that are going to create amazing things. Like, look at how many selfies Tony Robbins has. right? So to define that's not masculine, no, when I fail and when I win, you have to be honest with you. Yeah, well, and to me, I don't look at anything as failure, right? Failure is just feedback. That's all it is. But see, again, if we hold ourselves with these paradigms, this is going to massively impact our ability to move through things, right? If I say I'm winning or I'm failing, holy crap, think about how that's going to impact your ability to really put everything on the line. Because what does it mean if I fail? If I fail, that means that I am, finish that sentence, right? And we dig deep enough, we're going to start finding out that we've created these parameters that keep us creating things over and over and over and over, right? Again, like looking at what are you committed to? Like really looking at what are you committed to? And what is it that made you committed to that in the first place? Like I had a friend of mine when I was a little kid, lost this little kid. He ended up getting killed in an accident. And I went into school the next day and asked the teacher if she had heard about what happened to Kevin. She goes, yeah. And we will never talk about him again. Hey, Seema, it's great to see him. And I went, wow, this kid was amazing. Like he had a beautiful heart. And we're just going to forget about him? That event has shaped me to become the person that I am today, because I don't want anybody to ever feel insignificant or that they don't matter, right? And understanding everybody is doing what they believe they need to do in order to get what they believe is meant for them. Like you can go to a pedophile, you can go to a serial killer, like all of this, right, is really understanding it's the programs that are running things. You go look up, like I'm going to drop a truth bomb here. Going to try harder, work smarter so I don't fail next time. Okay, David, are you open to some coaching on this? Are you open to some coaching on this? Because this is really, really important. This is how masculine shows up. This is how masculine has been conditioned to show up, right? And it creates major breakdowns. And number one reason for fatal heart attack after the age of 55, number one reason for fatal heart attacks after the age of 55, you want to pay attention, is job dissatisfaction. And it's mostly men. They're dropping because they're not finding fulfillment, because they've been raised in a culture, you just suck it up, pull the bootstraps up, and you just work harder. No, you start finding fulfillment in what it is that you do. And we are the ones that gets to create that narrative. And see, this is why I love asking this question. This is why I love asking questions, okay? Is who is running your life? Who is running your life? Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, you shouldn't be afraid to fail, right? But fear, okay, this is important. This is really, really, really important, okay? Somebody put on there, I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to fail. How will you learn? Absolutely, totally agree with that. Wow, interesting. I did not know that. Somebody said most heart attacks occur on Monday. Yep, that wouldn't surprise me at all. McKenna, it's so good to see you, man. I haven't seen you in a while. We got to connect again. I would love to connect with you again. But understanding that you cannot have courage without fear. You can't. Otherwise, it's not courage, right? So we've all heard it, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. What's the other one? Get familiar with the unfamiliar. I like to say, become familiar with the uncomfortable. Anytime you're growing, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? And in that uncomfortableness, what we end up doing is we end up accessing infant programs. Like, how did your environment encourage you to step out into the unknown? How did your environment teach you to raise your hands when somebody asked a question, right? Like I had an experience when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. Teacher asked me to pronounce the sound of A. I was the very first kid in class to say it. She was teaching us how to pronounce the letters of the alphabet. And I said apple. The entire class laughed at me. I wanted to dig a hole and disappear. How do you think that impacted the rest of my life? Massively. Impacted it massively. But because I've done the work and understand where that humiliating experience came from, now I understand that this is just part of what we get to do, right? Sammy is in the house. Everybody need to go follow Sammy. That old boy drops some truth bombs. It's amazing, right? So it's just understanding that the resistance is going to persist until we look at what is it that we're really resisting, because on the other side of that resistance is a wound. right? But that's the opportunity for us. That's the same thing as being offended. When we're offended, that is the gateway to find out what is going on in the internal part of who we are, right? So I'm like, TikTok's going to give me a hard time because they said I need a break. So I'm going to take a break, everybody. I appreciate everybody being here. I really, really do. Go follow Sammy, like everybody else that came on here, like amazing, amazing people. And if you haven't joined the Potential Zone group, Sammy's handle is mental edge. Yeah, Lori, go follow him. That dude drops some truth bombs. I really, one of these days, Sammy, you and I need to do a live together. I know I keep saying that, but we got to make it happen because I love your content. Is if you haven't joined the ROI Accelerator Challenge, highly recommend. Like, this is my best work. Like, go look at the testimonies of the people that went through it. Like, this is where I'm really getting an opportunity to support people in a way. This is my best work. And I'm really, really excited for what's happening over there. So do yourself a favor. Get over to the ROI Accelerator Challenge. Thank you for all the roses, brother. I appreciate you. Sammy's an amazing dude. Go follow him. He's an amazing, amazing, amazing guy. And yeah, like, you want to see what masculine looks like, go check out Sammy. He's a good dude. So I appreciate everybody being here. Again, have an amazing evening. I appreciate all of you spending your valuable time with me. It means the world to me. Till next time, my friends, I will see you probably Thursday night here, or you'll see me on TikTok tomorrow. So be blessed. Much love. And as always, live like your life depends on it, because it does. Have a great evening. Take care, everybody. Much love.